Thunderbolts' theatrical run ends as one of the worst in MCU history. Superman drops an incredible final trailer. Harry Potter makes 9 new castings. Warner Brothers is splitting into 2 companies. And Spaceballs 2 is happening. Let's get into this week's movie news. Let's break down the box office, and to nobody's surprise, How to Train Your Dragon decimated the box office, pulling in a global total of $180 million at the box office. Domestically hit about 85 million, which is an absolutely huge number. This is really big because the live action film cost less than the animated version. Live action was about $150 million, so they've already made their budget back, and now once they hit their break-even point, they'll just be printing money. Universal has a huge hit on their hands. Lilo and Stitch, second place, $16 million in its 4th weekend at the box office. Mission Impossible 8, also its 4th weekend, $9 million at the domestic box office. Ballerina had a pretty poor second weekend, $9 million at the domestic box office. It seems like it's going to be a bit of a flop for Lionsgate. Unfortunately, it's a really cool movie. I hope people check it out. Had a lot of fun, but it was pretty expensive at a $90 million price tag. The original John Wick only cost $20. Materialists, Celine Song's latest film, had a really strong opening weekend, $7 million at the domestic box office. Now, Thunderbolts, they have basically ended their theatrical run. It's not making any more money. It ends with a global total of $371 million, making Thunderbolts one of the biggest flops in MCU's history. And this is just facts. This is objective truth. It ended up losing Marvel over $100 million for sure. This movie cost $180 million to produce, let alone the marketing campaign. Add that up to close to $300 million at least total for the film. And then once you're splitting tickets with movie theaters everywhere, you need to hit a break-even point of about $500 million for this film to start making a profit, and it didn't even come close, really. And Scarlett Johansson even asked Marvel Studios to remove her executive producer credit from Thunderbolts because she wasn't involved in the film at all. So MCU maybe looked to everyone like Thunderbolts was a big hit, big success. It ended up losing them over $100 million in production costs. Was not a big hit. I think everyone's just going to start reducing their budgets because the expectations of making $1 billion every time, that's gone with the MCU, clearly. But we have some very healthy box office projections for some upcoming huge films. Superman, we'll talk about the trailer in just a minute, has a projection of opening at around $140 to $185 million just domestically its opening weekend. This movie's weeks away. It's going to be one of the biggest hits of the year. The only movie that I see making more money than Superman this year is probably Jurassic World, which is projecting $120 million its opening weekend for a 5-day weekend of July 4th. And then we also have Fantastic Four projecting about $125 to $155 million at the domestic box office its opening weekend. So huge box office summer happening just in a couple of weeks all the way through August. Lots of awesome summer hits to see this year. Just want to give an update on movie news. Obviously, Anthony's not here. We don't need him. See you later, Anthony. Have fun in Europe. He's enjoying his time in Italy and Austria. But he'll be back very soon, and I'll be going to Europe in just a few days to join him in Greece. Can't wait. But he'll be back very soon, so don't worry about that. And when we come back from our Euro trip, I think we're going to play around with our schedule a little bit just to keep you all in the loop. We might start moving movie news to Monday so that we can add more news from the weekend. Plus, it's such a big engagement day, so I think movie news might be best to move to Monday, but we'll still get weekly episodes in addition to that throughout the course of the week. So stay tuned for potential changes just in our schedule. Next up, let's talk about this Superman trailer because it was outrageously good. We learned some information from this. Not only does the action look stellar and sensational, and so many stills and imagery from this movie could just be beautiful wallpapers on your screensavers and your computers, your phones for the rest of your life. The action looks fantastic. There's some really interesting looks at Superman Clark Kent, especially bruising, scarring, irritation from him using his heat vision, which I think is really interesting, probably from excessive use of heat vision, or maybe he's being weakened by kryptonite in specific sequences. I think it's a great detail and touch that James Gunn's adding to this film. Tons of looks at other characters. For example, new powers for Green Lantern, Baby Joey. I don't know who that is, but it's this little alien baby. Please let me know who Baby Joey is in the comments. as well as James Gunn's talking about how Clark Kent has been Superman for 3 years when Superman starts as a film. He's also developing, in some way, a sequel to Superman, but I think his focus obviously is, get the finished done. The movie's done. It's in the can. They just wrapped completely post-production last week. Worry about the press and marketing campaign. Big movie dropping in a month here. It's huge for the DC going forward. But he's talking about and probably coming with ideas for the sequel. To quote him, is it a straight-up Superman sequel? I would not necessarily say. So it sounds like obviously he's setting up a massive world of super beings. Superman's the most powerful, but more of an ensemble sequel. We shall see. Or maybe is he teasing a potential Superman-Batman collab in a future film? Is Batman going to get cast in the DC going forward, or will they bring Robert Pattinson from the Batman? I doubt that will happen, but maybe it'll be a Batman-Superman film. That'd be pretty cool. Or Justice League. I have no idea. I'm just fucking guessing off the top of my head what would be cool. I'm all for it. He also said that Wonder Woman, the movie, is in the works. It's being written right now, and we'll find out more about that as the months go on, because I'm sure they want to drop that 2028, the very latest, especially with Supergirl coming out next year. So I'm sure we'll find out about castings and more about Wonder Woman. Let's talk about Harry Potter. They're doing a good job with marketing, maintaining weekly news to talk about. Obviously, we got our main trio cast a couple weeks ago, but now 9 new Harry Potter castings have been revealed for some big characters. We have Catherine Parkinson as Molly Weasley, who looks exactly like you'd picture Molly Weasley to look, so incredible casting. Lox Pratt as Draco Malfoy, about to be a very famous actor. Johnny Flynn will play his character's father, Lucius Malfoy. Leo Early as Seamus Finnegan. Alessia Leone as Pavarti Patil. Sienna Musa as Lavender Brown, Belle Pauley as Petunia Dursley, Daniel Rigby as Vernon Dursley, and Bertil Carvey as Cornelius Fudge. Now, I know makeup, character design, wardrobe does a lot for characters, but I will say, specifically with Petunia and Vernon, their castings with Belle Pauley and Daniel Rigby, I'm sure they're terrific actors and deserve their roles. Aesthetically, they seem a bit young and hot. The age is it's actually very accurate to the books. Petunia would be in her mid to late 30s. Vernon would be their late 30s, possibly early 40s. So their age looks actually spot on. I think the show is going to do a great job getting book accurate age for the older characters, especially professors, and obviously Petunia and Vernon. They seem pretty attractive, and I've read those books a lot, and I think the castings originally were fantastic, getting great characterizations, but we'll see. This is going to be a new interpretation. Otherwise, the kids look perfectly cast. Lox Pratt looks like he's going to be a great Draco. Everyone else looks fantastic. That kid's about to be just as famous as the other kid, McLaughlin, who will be playing Harry Potter. So Draco is a huge casting. The Batman news, let's get back to James Gunn. He says the Batman 2 is really important to what they're building at DC, and he said we're supposed to get that script shortly. I can't wait. So Matt Reeves still working on the screenplay, making sure it's just right. James Gunn's going to take a peek very soon. Spaceballs, we have a legacy sequel reboot news, the weekly edition of every episode of Movie News. Spaceballs 2, who would have thought we'd get a sequel to this? And what's even cooler about Spaceballs 2 being greenlit, Rick Moranis will be coming out of retirement from acting and reprise his role as Dark Helmet. Really cool. Rick Moranis was in so many of our and your favorite movies when you were kids. Spaceballs is a great one, but Ghostbusters, the original, as well as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. He was in so many great movies. He was a big star, especially playing dads a lot of the time. Unfortunately, he had a horrible tragedy where I believe his wife was killed in a car wreck, and he ended up retiring and just raising his kids and being a father and raising his family, which I commend him so much for, but it's going to be so cool to see him come out of retirement. Lewis Pullman, who was just in Thunderbolts and Top Gun Maverick, will star alongside his father, Bill Pullman, who is reprising his role as a lone star. Really cool news. This movie's going to come out in 2027. Let's talk about one of our favorite Brits. Gary Oldman is being knighted by King Charles. He will now be called Sir Gary Oldman. Very deserved from an incredibly accomplished, loved, and talented actor, Sir Gary Oldman. We finally got a full-length trailer for Ari Aster's Eddington. And this movie, I think, will be even more divisive than Beau is Afraid. This might be one of the most divisive films of the century. And it's really tackling social anxieties and the heated politics of COVID-19 pandemic through absurd black comedy. It's guaranteeing to be one of the most divisive movies, like I said, of the year. It's going to hit theaters pretty soon, July 18th. Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, Austin Butler, and Joaquin Phoenix lead this film. Joaquin's going to play a sheriff who's going to be running for, it looks like, mayor against the top political opponents, who clearly going to have very differing opinions about COVID lockdown procedures, as well as how to, I'm assuming, get power in their community. It looks like it's going to piss a lot of people off, and I think that's what Ari Aster is going for. Warner Brothers Discovery News, it's going to get split into two companies. So there'll be streaming and studios, which will be Warner Brothers Television, Warner Brothers Pictures, Warner Brothers Games, DC Studios, HBO Max, and their film and TV libraries. And then global networks, which will be CNN, TNT Sports, Discovery Plus, and other TV networks. So it seems smart to split fiction-based products with live and news-related products, whether it's sports and news, live TV, and then obviously movies and TV going into streaming and studios. So a little bit of a shuffle at Warner Brothers. Matthew McConaughey, he's going to be in this episode a bit. He's going to star in a new film called Mike Hammer, and this will be written by True Detective creator Nick Pizzolatto. Very excited about this. McConaughey as a PI. Sign me up. Sydney Sweeney news. She says her training for starring as boxer Christy Martin in the new biopic included putting on 30 pounds, lifting twice a day, kickboxing 2 hours a day. This movie, I think, is coming out at the end of this year. She shot it a couple months ago and finished it up. So looking forward to seeing Sydney in the ring in that biopic. Violent Night 2, starring David Harbour, is greenlit and will release December 4th, 2026 in theaters. Some Robert Eggers news. It seems like this guy just got 4 movies greenlit in the last month and a half. Ever since Nosferatu came out, there's been several grumblings and rumblings of movies he's in development on. For example, he's going to write and direct a new Christmas Carol movie for Warner Brothers. Willem Dafoe is the top choice to play Ebenezer Scrooge. I would love to see Eggers do a Christmas Carol. I wonder if it would be family friendly. We shall see. American Psycho news, the project that keeps going, greenlit, red light, in production, not in production, development, not in development, who knows? But apparently Patrick Schwarzenegger is very much on the radar for the role of Patrick Bateman in Luca Guadagnino's American Psycho. You know, I'm sure, I think aesthetically Patrick would be a great choice. He's got, that perfect look of like a perfect specimen, Wall Street guy, growing up in privilege. I feel like he'll nail it, and we'll see. I'm wondering if this movie's even ever going to get made. It might just be one of those movies that's talked about for years. Stranger Things news. We talked about the trailer last week on Movie News, but we have new details of the Stranger Things animated series, Stranger Things Tales from 85, set between seasons 2 and 3. It follows the Hawkins kids facing new monsters. The story is inspired by the real Ghostbusters, animation inspired by Arcane, and the Spider-Verse films. Obviously, everything's inspired by the Spider-Verse films this year. So, will this be a situation where there's going to be too much content for an IP? Who knows? But I'm more looking forward to the live-action Season 5. I don't know about y'all. Let me know in the comments what you think. Before we take any more news in, check out this amazing poster over my right shoulder. It's from MoviePosters.com, our incredible sponsor, and it's of How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action film, which we're dropping an episode on tomorrow. It was a lot of fun. I dressed up as a Viking. You don't want to miss my costume in that episode, especially on YouTube or Spotify, where you can see that. But Movie Posters provided this incredible poster as well as the light box that it is in. Go to MoviePosters.com to get your movie theater quality posters and your light box today if you want one, which is incredible. I love mine. Use our code Raiders10 to get 10% off your entire order. We also have an affiliate link at movieposters.com in the episode description of this podcast episode, whether you're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever, as well as if you click our link in our Instagram bio, you can find that affiliate link as well. It's super important because we get a commission of every single product sold through that affiliate link. But if you don't press that link, it's impossible to track that you got the news for Movie Posters from us. So use that link, use our code. It's a win-win for everybody at movieposters.com. Darren Aronofsky, who's got a new film coming out with Austin Butler, is also in talks now to direct Breakthrough. This is a movie we've talked about in movie news before. It's starring Dwayne Johnson for A24. The film follows a young man who becomes under the influence of a motivational guru, who Dwayne, I'm sure, will play, who uses morally questionable methods of manipulation. Sounds like it could be very dark and funny. Toy Story 5 news. The opening of Toy Story 5 was shown at Anarchy, I don't know what the fuck that is, which included a shipment of Buzz Lightyear toys crashed on a desert island. All of the Buzz toys then worked together to create a raft to get back to Star Command. It seems like the perfect opportunity maybe to make a Tom Hanks reference with Castaway, since obviously Tom Hanks voices Woody. Why not make a reference to Castaway if we're going to have someone stranded on an island? I guarantee there will be one. It'll probably be something subtle like the gold wings from the FedEx package. But I think that's the... Why not? Fucking do it. Let's do it. We got our first look at Gatto, a new Pixar film from Luca director Enrico Casarosa. It follows a black cat in Venice, Italy, with a love of music who is shunned by locals due to superstitions. New hand-painted style of animation will be featured in this film, and it looks gorgeous already just from stills. This hits theaters September 2027, so animated films take quite a while to make, but it's cool we got it still. It looks great. The Backrooms is a new movie that has been greenlit at A24. It's based off an old short horror film from a few years ago on YouTube that got really popular and went viral. Renate Rensvi and Chiwetel Ejiofor will star in the film. Kane Parsons will be the youngest director ever for an A24 film at only 19 years old. Filming begins this summer. Congratulations to Kane. I mean, that just proved to show you that anyone can make it. Just work on what you love. Make it. Do what you want to do. You know, when it comes to art, just get out there and do it. If you want to be a filmmaker, grab a camera, film anything. That's how you do it. Very cool. Very cool. Presumed Innocent news. The TV show at Apple TV Plus just got Lois Lane herself, Rachel Brosnahan, cast in the lead as the lead in Presumed Innocent Season 2, which I believe this will be an anthology kind of season where every season will be different characters, because Jake Gyllenhaal starred in the original season, which is based off a book. Also, there's a Harrison Ford movie from the 90s, but this will be a completely new season, different characters. The Last of Us Season 3 has come out and confirmed that Caitlin Dever will be the lead for Season 3 of the show. We all expected that, as Abby didn't have much screen time in Season 2. Season 3, just like the game, will follow her storyline. A new movie is in production from Sony Pictures Animation, an animated movie obviously, produced by and starring Steph Curry, called GOAT. And Caleb McLaughlin will also voice the lead role of GOAT. I believe it's a goat that plays basketball. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood news, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has been cast in David Fincher's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel for Netflix. No idea whether he's going to play a real-life star from the past or an original character. We'll find out. I cannot wait for this movie. I'm ecstatic. Ecstatic. Back to Matthew McConaughey. We got some news and our first trailer for Paul Greengrass's new film, The Lost Bus, starring Matthew McConaughey in his first lead role in quite a while for the screen. And the film follows a school bus driver who drove through one of America's deadliest wildfires to save 22 children, based on a true story, I believe. Releasing later this year. Paul Greengrass is a great filmmaker. You know him best from the Bourne movies. He took over duties for Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, as well as Jason Bourne, which I don't love that film. Didn't need it. But Supremacy and Ultimatum are superb superb movies, and Paul Greengrass, really great filmmaker. Incredible 3 news. Peter Sohn, the director behind Elemental, is set to direct Incredibles 3. Brad Bird will still return by writing the script. And our final bit of news in this movie news, Ice Spice has been cast in the SpongeBob movie Search for SquarePants. She will also release an original song for the film. Did not expect that. But that wraps up this pretty short movie news. Not a ton of topics to discuss, but I think just the box office is really, really big talking point for this week. Again, Anthony's not here right now, but episodes will still post this week. We'll both be back from Europe on the 27th, so expect that slight change in schedule, or we might experiment with putting movie news on Mondays now, and then pushing episodes of movies, it's probably Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Don't worry, you'll still get all your episodes every week. Letterboxd Recap is still kind of hit or miss right now because Anthony's literally not watching movies. And we'll be pretty busy over the next about 10 days. I'll be in Rome for 3 days and then Greece for 7 days with a bunch of the boys and fans of the show. So, as usual, thanks so much for tuning in to movie news on Raiders of the Lost podcast. Stay tuned for more to come. How to Train Your Dragon is tomorrow's episode. It's a lot of fun. Hope you enjoy us breaking down the live action of the animated classic. Movie chat on Wednesday. Other than that, hope you're all having a great weekend, are happy, safe, and well, and seeing movies because that's what we love to do too. All right, everyone, take care and see you next time. This episode was brought to you by our chosen one patrons, Jacob Kostler and Nicholas Martin. Thanks so much, boys. Raiders of the Lost podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kostler. Opening music by Chase Jackson.